Because of the lack of knowledge that surfaced during the 2011-2012 drought, it was very clear that more research had to be done because we had not experienced a drought like that before. We needed to know more about the impacts of drought, the effects of drought, what it means for people and society and the economy. Because drought and water scarcity isn't always high up on people's agenda, it's often overlooked.
We need to understand drought outside the context of just a reduction.
Ofwat's all about delivery for customers, and the MaRIUS project is probably one of the most important bits of research that we've seen in drought and water scarcity, certainly in my 30 years of career. It gives us a real insight to how we need to manage and change the process to make sure that customers, businesses and the environment can survive and get through droughts in the future. The world is changing. With climate change, we can't manage droughts in the way we used to. We need this very clear evidence to help support the policy, strategy and delivery mechanisms that companies operate on drought.
Droughts and water scarcity isn't something that people think about all that often on a day-to-day basis. What the MaRIUS project has been trying to do is to identify what the risk of droughts is, and when droughts happen, what might the impacts be for people, the economy and the environment, and what can we do about that?
About what the research needs was to promote a very interdisciplinary approach to droughts and what we should do about them. And you're going to hear about that this morning.
Government has got a lot on its plate with respect to water, and we're providing the evidence to help them to understand some of those trade-offs, understand a bit more about what the future holds. Businesses, unless you're a really big water user, haven't thought about droughts very much. And what MaRIUS is doing is providing evidence to help them to make better decisions.
A large part of the work has been using synthetic data series generated by the climate team with their global circulation models. And this is so that we can explore what might be the future in terms of droughts meteorologically, what this means with regard to turning on the taps, wetland environments and impacts on agriculture.
Groundwater kind of definitely interacts with water quality. I mean, it's the sort of a tranche of water that comes through the system, especially in the chalk aquifer. It's very important.
People often care for the wildlife around rivers, and if the climate changes, that will affect the wildlife. So people are very interested in learning more about how these things might play out.
In this new project that we have now in Droughts, the idea is to work closely with the stakeholders and try to see what would be useful for them to know in relation to droughts, and also try to do some more like decision-making tools and information that could be useful for farmers. What is the risk that they are reducing if they build a reservoir? How big should it be? The economics of it, and hopefully that will help them to manage droughts better.
Because we've looked at so many different research topics, each one has its key findings. I suppose the headlines will be that droughts will become more frequent in the future, and therefore their impacts and effects will become more severe.
I think it's great that there's so much science going on behind the scenes, and I think one of the main things I picked up is that I'm really going to try and use some of that in my consultancy work and pull through some of the kind of outcomes through into what we're doing for clients.
I thought it was really helpful. I've not been directly involved with the MaRIUS programme as a whole, but just seeing the breadth of the work that's going on and all the different kind of aspects of it, whether it's the weather side, the hydrological side, or the economic or ecological and agricultural. Yeah, really good to see.
There was a huge amount of information to take on board, but there's obviously a lot of very interesting modelling and a lot of interesting work being done.
I thought it was fantastic to see the way scientists have created models which can be applicable for kind of general use, and my company uses it, so it's very good to see how else it works for drought as well.
We turn on the taps and water comes out, and we don't really need to think about it. So with regard to the wider economic and business impact, there's a lot that needs to be done there in terms of raising awareness to make people realise that water is scarce. Droughts will become more frequent. We need to put in place management strategies, and the wider public or everybody in the country hopefully will recognise this and become much more aware of the precious resource that water is, and hopefully strive to become more water efficient.